Hi guys, Iron Cameraman here. For start, I will ask you one question. How you think? How good one part episode 77 on the scale of 1 to 10? I'm sure what many of us will say what that part very middling. I mean that, of course, not episode 70 and not episode 74. But we can't say what episode 77 part 1 was so bad. And I thought, why that mood of viewers? That only a one part of huge episode and it's hard to evaluate all picture. And I came to the conclusion, what this kind of episodes, from the point of view of usual, not look so good because what are we all interested and worried about Titans? We wait when Titans will start fighting or just revealing some global secrets of a plot about what we all think. And I don't want to seem special. And I really think what at one part we will be shown at least a G toilet or secret agent, because even before the release of episode was a hints. But it turned out that these were not hints at the first part of episode 77, but it was to the other parts of that episode. And for this reason, I will analyze not as usual, but I will try to tell you what we need. Wait at next parts. And I will do this not just based on my intuition, and I will start from the details, which were not few. For example, in the process of analysis, I found out what was the meaning of the scene with the church, if, in the end, all the people died without having time to be useful in the plot. We will also once again discuss the secret, mysterious chair and no less secret plant, which once again appear in episodes. And of course, I'll explain where G-Squad has the technology of Astros toilets and why they change their eye color when they use their technology. Believe me, you will be surprised by the answer to this question. Therefore, be sure to watch this video from start to finish, not to miss some important things. And I also want to do a survey among you. The fact is that I plan to do a new exclusive interview with Dafuk Boom, but I need to know your opinion. Do you want such a video? If so, let's get 7,000 likes. Every your like speed up video with interview and will help share this information with everyone. I need get here so much viewers how it possible, because the best questions from the comments I will probably take to my list of questions. Anyway, here we go. One part episode 77. It starts with the POV cameraman looking at the flying Astros toilet, and after he flies away, he decides to get out of the water. The camera strider already wants to follow him, but we give him the command to stay in the water since he is too huge, and it is easier to spot him. It is more logical that the cameraman inspects everything first, by the way. At the moment when he goes into the water, you can see that his cabin closes, and in fact in this form, he uses the strider as a submarine. The POV cameraman rises higher and then looks back, and we can see that the area is completely destroyed. Of course, before the city was not at good, but now the city is completely destroyed and is all on fire. Astros toilets destroy everything they see. Astros toilets are too destructive and cannot cope with the power of Skibidi toilets, which may change soon. We will talk about technology later. There is something to speculate about. Suddenly, we hear the bells ringing from the nearest church, and when we turn around, we see a chair that begins to fly towards the white light. You might think that this light is from the TV man's screen, but when we are already approaching, there is nothing except, as you may have already noticed, that very ficus. Yes, this is the plant that first appeared in episode 76. Because of this fact, many assume that perhaps the chair at that moment turned into a ficus, so we did not see him. However, this judgment is not correct, since in the same episode 76, in the same scene, you could see both a ficus and chair, so these are definitely different characters, and not the same one. In this case, white light is a way of his teleportation, and this teleportation can be both in the area and possibly in another level of reality, because we know that in addition to the traditional reality in the Skibidi Toilet, there is a so-called ghost world. We have already seen this state in the example of twins, or the example of the red cameraman. And also you already remember that according to my theory, the chair is a plunger man, who simply disguises himself as another object so as not to show himself ahead of time, and most likely he did any kind of mission from a secret agent, as the red cameraman did. But we will not talk about this in depth today, because this topic is too long. So let's continue with the analysis of the series. And if you want, I can tell you about this in another video. By the way, what is interesting in addition to them, there is another unusual character. And as you already know, if you watched other YouTubers, Then I see this cameraman next to a tree. Judging by its square shapes, this is a reference to a recent game of Roblox with Steak and Creekcraft. Who doesn't know Daffy Boom even has its official characters to buy in this game, and 3 Titans have been added to this list. Perhaps this detail was intended just for advertising. But if you have a different opinion on this matter, I will be happy to read in the comments. After all this, something happened that hardly anyone expected. However, we again see living people, how it was at episode 73. However, the story of a sad fate repeated itself unfortunately with them. If then there was only one infected person among people, and the infection process itself remained behind the scenes, then in this case, in the first place, people are not charged with the Skibidi virus but die, and secondly, not behind the scenes, but right in front of your eyes. Let me remind you that one of those survivors eventually turned into a Skibidi woman, and both of these scenes in this regard are very stating, and once again show how Astro toilets are more cruel than Skibidi toilets. Please note that the Astro toilet first targets people, and only then at our operator. This detail says even more about their race, and that fact, not exactly who they say they are. But we will talk about this later. Now I will ask you one question. Have you counted how many times the bells of the church have been struck? If so, then you managed exactly 12 times. As you know, in some churches, the bells ring every hour, and the number of strokes corresponds to the current hour. In our case, judging by the 12 beats and the state of the sky in the series, midnight has fallen. But since this is still primarily a church, and not a clock that is, another Christian explanation why exactly 12 times, I don't want to go into details, because the video will last 2 hours, but they did a little. Thus, the 12 bell strikes can be related to the temporal in both a literal and symbolic sense, emphasizing the importance of the moment or transition. Apparently, in this case, it meant the transition from enmity to friendship between the Skibidi Toilets and the alliance was already official. By the way, I would like to talk about what the girl said when she came out to the cameraman. We realize from her speech that regular people don't know about the agents. She literally said that she saw them helping people. So she didn't know before if she should trust the agents or if they would just kill them. This was the same reaction the people in episode 73 had. From this, we conclude that the public didn't know about the agents at all. The government was hiding it along with secret agent. So there are actually more people than there appear to be, but they don't show themselves because they're afraid. They don't know that the Alliance is trying to help them. Meanwhile, the Astros are trying their best to exterminate the humans. We've seen that the Astros are aiming specifically at the humans, but why? Perhaps they have an assumption or a hunch that it's Dafook that's getting in their way, and they're trying their best to find him and kill him. It's still unknown for sure. But it's odd that they were purposefully shooting at the humans, trying to kill them first. After the humans are dead, we see the POV cameraman being a bit taken aback by this development, and for the first couple of seconds trying to realize what ended up happening. That's when we notice the new Astro toilet, which has hidden behind the smoke and disappeared. But after a few seconds, it attacks from a completely different direction. You know, even though Astro toilets are enemies of agents and toilets, I still have to commend their tactics. We see that if they have an opportunity to attack unexpectedly so that the opponent can't dodge the blow, they will take it. This shows very well how smart and calculating they are, since even the lowest-ranked soldiers still use tactics in battle. After the cameraman manages to fend off the attacks, he flies upwards. But unfortunately, the Astro catches up to him in mid-air and is about to finish him off until the G-Squad mutants come to the rescue. First, they cut off part of his laser, then they chop off his arms. Well, after that, Skibidi Rambo just squeezes his head in his hands. After that, our cameraman stands up and points the laser at one of the mutants, to which he gets a phrase in response. "Why is bro aiming it at me? Is he stupid?" And the other Skibidi Toilet adds, "We saved your life." Yes, of course, the cameraman's act looks pretty stupid, especially when you consider the fact that he himself has already seen the alliance between the toilets and the Alliance and literally helped it come true in episode 76. But in his defense, at least he knows how to aim, unlike the hybrid cop, who I even put on the list of the dumbest characters. So it's not up to him to decide who's dumb and who's not. By the way, if you haven't seen that clip after this breakdown, go ahead and watch it. After the second mutant's words, Skibidi Rambo approaches us with the words, "Relax, we're not here to hurt anyone," and takes a knee like a knight before a princess, and then continues, "It's time for us to be friends, officially." But our cameraman decides he doesn't want to team up with them and shows a middling finger in response. You can see by the faces of the hybrids that this is clearly not the response they were expecting. Chuckling, Rambo takes off his glasses and says, "We're not asking." But before I parse the episode further, I want to say that the hybrids' eyes are yellow-orange in color. But that's not all. As you've probably already noticed, the weapons of the Skibidi Toilets have clearly changed and become many times stronger. You can notice that they have lasers of Astro toilets, which Skibidi Woman took away in episode 75. From this, we conclude that the scientists of the Skibidi Toilets obviously know their business very well, since in such a short time, they were able to improve such fighters. But the most interesting thing is their yellow-orange eyes. They never had that before, so what happened? Perhaps it was all the effects of the new arsenal, or perhaps G-Man was able to transfer his energy. We can speculate on that forever. By the way, this is the first time we've seen any of the Skibidi Toilets other than G-Man speak. Perhaps they were affected by the Astro weapon, as was the case with Titan Cameraman. Who knows? But I suggest parsing the episode further. After Rambo's words, they were attacked by a small group of Astro toilets with small Astros and an Astro interceptor. By the way, have you also noticed that after one of the Astros dies, more powerful units of fighters are sent to the place where he died? At first, we saw only 2 Astros, then we were attacked by a more pumped-up and powerful fighter. But as soon as he was killed, 3 more Astro toilets came here, and one of them is an interceptor, which, according to my theory, is able to intercept not only the signals of the Alliance and the Astro toilets through the devices, but is also some kind of signal response group. From this, we conclude that even the smallest Astros have a connection to strong fighters. Incidentally, this also confirms why so many soldiers flew to that location in episode 76, most likely through some sort of technology or the very collar that some of the Astros are wearing. They detected the death of a bunch of their fighters, so they sent very powerful and strong fighters there. If that's the case, the Alliance and the Skibidi Toilets are in for a rough ride if they can't shut down the Astros' communications. Next, we see the agents and the G-Squad together trying to overpower the Astro Squad, and they are quite successful at it. By the way, this is where we see once again how powerful the Astro Toilets are. But after they finally managed to take down the Astro Toilet, Michael Jackson carefully and quickly cuts off its head. But then suddenly, that head comes to life, grows legs, and runs screaming at the cameraman. But luckily, Rambo manages to grab it and throw it at another Astro who was closing in on the squad. After that, we see the cameraman give a yelp to his savior, and the mutant says, "Let's go." And that concludes part 1 of episode 77. I think you're interested to know why the Astro toilet head came to life and attacked the cameraman. Just recently, I told a theory that Astro toilet soldiers are injected with some kind of serum that increases their strength, power, and colors their eyes red. And those who are well affected by this serum gain the ability to shoot out of their eyes. And this moment is further confirmation that something is being injected into Astro toilet fighters, something that can grow legs and live on after death. It's like some kind of parasite that makes them stronger. This could explain why many Astros have collars on them. Even the Astro woman has one. From this, we conclude that this parasite is unstable and therefore needs precautions in the form of a collar. But it's too early to speculate on that. I think Dafouk himself will give us more details in the future. And today we are Iron Cameramen. Bye.